Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Coffee with Corvertis. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm Sam Lawson, and I'm a talent management specialist at Corvertis, and I'm joined by Jennifer Hugo, who is our owner and managing director.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, it's great to have you on this morning. And so what we want to talk about this week, the past few weeks we've covered a variety of different topics, anything from emotional labor to corporate social responsibility. But this week, Jen and I had an idea to basically address the same topic. And so what we want to discuss with you this week is information around structured interviewing. With all that we know about the benefits of using structured interviews over unstructured interviews, it really continues to amaze me the number of organizations that continue to hire and evaluate candidates based purely off of gut instinct and intuition, or by asking like a series of random non-job related questions. And so I do want to discuss why organizations do not utilize structured processes in a minute, but Jen, I
Maybe
don't
we
know if
should,
you have anything to add to
yeah,
that.
maybe we could just start with like a 30-second overview of what's structured versus unstructured and how it's maybe more of a continuum. Sam, do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So just some of the benefits of structured interviewing is that if we're looking at unstructured interviewing, it's more of it's not a very well-intentioned or well-designed process, because what you're doing is you're asking a series of questions that are very inconsistent across a group of candidates. So if you have, let's say, 5 candidates applying to a position, you may not be asking the same questions to all of those candidates. And so it becomes really difficult and almost near impossible to evaluate and compare which candidates are likely to be more effective for that position. And it's also a really good way to keep you out of legal trouble as well, by using that structured process where you're asking the same questions consistently so that you can evaluate candidates on a consistent, standardized basis.
Right. So having those consistent questions is one part, but then also the how we evaluate them. Do you want to touch on that? That's the other piece of it that you have to have for it to be a fully structured interview.
Yeah, definitely. And so not only are we asking the same questions of every single candidate, but there's also a standardized means of evaluating their responses. So at Corvertis, we actually develop structured interview guides for a variety of organizations across industries. And so something that we build into those interview guides are standardized rating scales. And we even use things that we call positive and negative indicators, which allows the interviewer to have a really good understanding of what responses they might want to look for, or things that might cause or be a red flag in a candidate's response. And so that really, having that information up front really reduces the amount of notes that they have to take during the interview, and helps them pay better attention to really what the candidate is saying and whether the candidate's response is an indicator that they would be a good fit for the position and that they would fit in with the organization's culture as well.
Right. So it really not only does it give you that quality hire, greater odds of selecting people that are going to perform, fit, and stay, but it also just creates a better process for your team to understand who people are, set them up for success if they're hired, and relieves a lot of that anxiety around the interview process of not knowing what questions to ask. But still, Sam, there's a lot of ways we can give autonomy to, or that freedom to the hiring manager with it, even with having a structured process, right?
Yeah, definitely. And so it doesn't have to be something that's super rigid. I know that the structured process, and with many hiring managers or organizations not jumping on board using that structured process, one of the reasons being is that sometimes managers might feel that it hinders their freedom or autonomy during the process. They may feel that the process or the structure of the interview is too rigid. They don't really get a good chance to really know the candidate's personality or their interests. But there are certainly questions that you can kind of go off the beaten path a little bit, just to get to know the candidate a little bit more from a personal standpoint. So as long as you're adhering to those standardized questions and asking those job relevant, legally defensible questions, that's going to allow you to compare or make those points of comparison across candidates. But it is, like you said, Jen, it is also appropriate to go off the beaten path a little bit, and maybe ask, what do you like to do in your free time, or what are some of your hobbies and interests? Of course, that isn't necessarily job related, but it does help the candidate's experience with the process, and helps break down some of those barriers a little bit to make it more personalized.
Right. And we can, when we're creating a structured interview guide, we can sort of couch those icebreaker type questions, and they're either, not evaluated or are evaluated in certain ways. So are they talking about, something like if they're talking about a hobby, if they're asked about that, something that they've worked on and improved over time. And you could even ask about that. Tell me something you're proud of that's not related to work, just to understand their level of grit, persistence, ability to move something forward. And then a last point around structured interviews is that you can compare the candidates because you've asked the same questions, you've recorded the information the same way. You can do side-by-side comparisons of candidates that are a lot more precise and accurate and free of bias, even inadvertent, unintentional bias that we might have, because you can see everything so clearly. So that can be very powerful as well. And then because everything's recorded, you can build on the system over time. So you can see what questions maybe is everyone hitting out of the park, so they're not differentiating candidates, or what questions is everyone kind of confused about, maybe the managers don't like asking so much. You could get that feedback and make a lot of powerful decisions going forward.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really great point. The just eliminating any bias from the process, and that's really what structured interviews aim and are able to do. Is we're not only able to evaluate candidates consistently and make those points of comparison about who's going to be the best fit, who's going to have the greatest potential to perform, but we're also significantly reducing and hopefully eliminating altogether some of those biases that we have. Like, for instance, if we perceive a candidate to have the same personality that we do, that might be great for building a relationship with that candidate, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be able to meet those performance expectations if we're not asking those critical and job relevant questions during the interview.
Absolutely. And they can be coupled with other tools as well. So maybe if you're talking about a manager that's going to be in charge of an area of the business, you could give them a profit and loss statement, maybe some marketing reports, things like that, and ask them, imagine that, I'm your regional supervisor and you have 20 minutes with me to recap what's going on, and see if they bring to the table and have a structured set way of how you're going to evaluate. Did they notice that this financial metric was down and was definitely something that they should bring up? Did they notice that maybe this piece of data was missing? And that's something that either people within your organization and or people like Sam and myself can work with you to build tools that measure the specific competencies so that you're not just haphazardly picking different things, but you're really getting at the competencies and the drivers of performance that you need for those roles.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really great point. And that's the approach that we take at Core Virtus. Is we do, like I said, we do partner a lot with organizations to build those consistent processes. So by interviewing those subject matter experts, obtaining those critical incidents, that really helps us build strong and legally defensible interview guides that you can use within your own organization as well.
Mm-hmm. And then also have a lot of profound information on how to support someone. So if I did give Sam, let's say, that profit and loss statement, and I noticed that he was incredibly strong on financial acumen and has a lot of potential in that area, I know that I can, further develop him in that area, give him other opportunities, maybe use him as a resource when I might not know that going in. So it makes us stronger all around.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Sam, so much for taking some time and leading us in this discussion today. And we will be in touch soon for another quick little coffee with Core Virtus. We are focusing on making them quick little coffee breaks, not lunches. So thank you. And if you have any questions, we have some resources down below. Feel free to like this and subscribe so you can get consistent updates on YouTube. And we'll chat with you next time.
Thank you.